Hi guys, Voxel Pro here, coming at you with kind of a reaction to Geekdom 101's video that he put out recently referencing Gohan being the leader of the Universe 17 in the Tournament of Power. He gave his reasons of why he didn't think Gohan was a good choice, but I'm going to give you... and they're all valid points that he puts out, by the way. They're all valid points. Every single one of them, I can't really, those things did happen. Every single point that he pointed out did happen and is a valid point. But I'm gonna give you my reasons of why I think he's a pretty good choice. And I hope he watches this, and I'm gonna tweet this at him. I'm going to tweet this video at him, and hopefully he watches it, because I am a fan of his. And although I'm not a Dragon Ball aficionado like he is or like Rhymestyle is, I definitely enjoy his work. So go check his channel out. I'll put the link to his channel in the description. But I just mainly rant most of the time. So here's what I think. Here's why I think he's a good choice. I'm gonna list the reasons, and then I'm gonna go into details. Okay, reason number one: he's the perfect balance between strength and strategy type mindset. Number two, allegorically wise, he's learned from his mistakes, or is at least aware of them. And we are aware that he's aware of them. Speaking from an audience perspective. So that's number two. And number three is that he's just smart. He's smart. You know? He's smart. You know? He has a certain humbleness about him that is that's a different facet from his flaws. So let's get into these reasons one by one. So, what do I mean by, so my first point was that he's the perfect balance between strategy and strength. The balance between physical and mental, if you prefer. With strength, that should be an obvious thing, is that he's a Saiyan. The Saiyan strength is essential to the team. And, you know, in the last episode, in episode 90, he rivaled Goku at Super Saiyan 2, and then, you know, he could kind of go at Goku Super Saiyan Blue, full powered, you know, and even though he lost, he still went ahead and he did good, and even Gohan recognizes that he did good. Even Vegeta recognizes, you know, in that episode, he gives that smile, you know, kind of like that dude at the end of I don't know if you guys ever seen Whiplash, the movie with the drumming, but Whiplash with Miles Teller in it. That scene at the end to where the dude, you know, just gives the nod for improvement, and that whole movie was building up to like that moment to where it was like so satisfying. We'll never watch that movie again because it is it's just hard to watch, and it was just too much emotions in that. But Vegeta's smile, and that was like, oh, this guy is serious about his training. He's got up to a significant power level. This dude is pretty powerful, you know, and there's a certain amount of respect that comes with that. And the fact that he made Vegeta, the most cynical of all, the prince of all Saiyans, you know, do that, that's gotta mean something, you know? That's high praise coming from Vegeta. So, you know, so the Saiyan thing there is essential to the team. You know, and the Saiyan strength goes without saying of why that's important to the team. The mental aspect, which I will address for the same point, is the fact that, you know, he's been training with Piccolo, his his whole life essentially. Yeah, there was times where he didn't train with them, but for the sake of argument, you know, yeah, most of the time, you know, he's the one that taught him how to fight first, you know. And even in the beginning Dragon Ball Z era, it was like a sink or swim type of situation, and he survived and he came out stronger, and he did really well. You know, now he has that mentality about him to where he can use strategy. He's able to use strategy, and even after, you know, Piccolo and him talked about strategy, talked, you know, which I will address in the second point. He said, well, let's come up with some moves. I got some ideas, you know. And he was like, and Piccolo was like, yeah, I'm down to do that. You know, let's work on our team moves so we can work well together. We can mesh well together. And so he's very team player in that way. And he's very strategic in that way. So addressing the second point, which is he's aware of his flaws, and we as an audience are aware that Gohan is aware of his flaws, because you watch episode, I believe it was 89, to where Piccolo, when they were training, Piccolo had a talk with Gohan. He was like, listen, when the time comes, you know, and this was a main point of contention for Geekdom and his guest on that particular video, by the way, that they pointed out. He was like, he's like, when the time came, you messed it up. Like when Cell was there, you got arrogant, and you know, he killed your father, got your father killed. Your arrogance and dropping your guard got you absorbed with Super Buu, you know. And he told that to him, and then he was like, your reasons for fighting are need to be essentially adjusted. And this is me paraphrasing. And he's like, you know, you fight with, you know, fighting for your family, and not that that's a bad thing to fight for, but you need to also, you know, push yourself to see how far you go, you know. And I'm paraphrasing. So he's aware of his flaws, and the fact that the way that Piccolo stated something, you know, stated those things, I know made Gohan aware of his flaws. Not to the point to where he even pointed that out to him in such a way that made him not go overboard with his thinking, you know, to say, oh, I need to change my thinking radically. He was like, no. He's like, although this is not a bad thing to fight for, you also need to, you know, push yourself, kind of like this theory of virtue, this like golden mean type thinking. Like, don't go too far and say push yourself and like forget everybody else, but don't like slack and like only fight for, you know, only fight for your family, and the only reason that you have to fight, you know, because what if they're gone? Then you're not going to be able to summon that level of strength, you know, if you always need a reason to fight, you know. You need to gain back your warrior's pride, you know, your warrior strength, you know. And that was the kind of thing. He laid this idea of virtue in his mind. And I think because we're aware that he's aware, and the way that Piccolo stated such flaws and pointed out to him, we know Gohan is going to keep those in mind. Because oftentimes what shows like in animes not stating something in the story, if the character is not aware, it makes it more easy to be a repeatable offense, you know. Which is why I think there was a thing between, you know, Gohan and Super Boo to where, or I'm sorry, not Gohan and Super Boo, but Cell and Super Boo. So I think that was a thing. Also, so that's addressing my second point. My third point is the dude is just smart. You know, he's humble in different ways. You know, than you know, that is seemingly contradictory to his arrogance of when he's fighting an enemy. Like he doesn't think like I have to be better than, you know, Goku, Vegeta, or any of his allies. He's thinking like I just have to be better than my enemy, right? And so to me, that allows him to say, you know when to accept help and not be too prideful, but also know when to, you know, put forth a significant effort and not have to rely on anybody else. I think he has that in his head. I think he has a state of humbleness that the Goku and Vegeta aren't used to. They fight for the thrill of the fight. He fights for, beating the other person. And although all three of them are arrogant, they're arrogant in different ways. Goku and Vegeta is arrogant in the fact that they kind of pride themselves on like being the best in the universe and like almost knocking down anybody in their way to be the best. No matter if they're good or bad, they just want to fight strong opponents, trying to be the best fighter in all the universe, or all the universes, or in the omniverse, I should say. And even each other, and they will stop at nothing to reach that top spot. Now, Gohan, on the other hand, he's only arrogant when he knows he can beat his opponent, and he knows he sized them up, and which causes him to make mistakes. Although this is important, although this is detrimental to, him, it's the only time to where, it's the only time to where he's arrogant. Other times he doesn't really care. He's not really that arrogant like in the way that Vegeta and Goku are arrogant. He also knows how, like I said, he knows how to strategize. He knows, which kind of goes back to the second point. He knows who to invite. He had an idea of who to invite, so I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does as leader. I mean, because at the end of the day, he's how the leader thing is going to really work out, because it's not really a tournament like the past Dragon Ball tournaments were tournaments where they fight one at a time. It's really a battle royale, more like a Royal Rumble type thing, to where all the people are going to be in the ring at the same time. So I think, I think Gohan's a good choice. He's got that perfect balance. He's smart. He has that strategic type mindset. His strength is essential to the team. His strength is definitely up there, but he's learned from his mistakes, or at least I hope he did, and now he's aware of his mistakes, and he knows how important it is to push himself and to keep going. And I think those are all the reasons why I think he's actually a pretty good candidate for being leader. And even though Master Roshi has tons of experience being a teacher and being a fighter, he might not have the level of strength the way Vegeta and Goku have. He's not quite up there, and everybody else don't have the leadership experience. He definitely has this fighter experience. He's definitely You know, he's definitely more in his prime than the other people. Gohan can still grow, and he still has room for potential. And he just has to discover that. So yeah, that's the reason why I think he's a pretty good candidate. I'm gonna try to tweet this at Geekdom so he can watch the video. I don't need him to respond to the video on video, but if he say, hey, you made some pretty good points, if he said that in a tweet, that would be pretty cool. I like his stuff. You know, I like his stuff, rhyme style stuff. Thundershot, when he was putting stuff out. What happened? Does Black and Fist still put stuff out? I gotta watch him again. But they all rhyme style stuff. You know, they all put out great Dragon Ball Z stuff, and I hope you watch Geekdom stuff, because he really goes into it. He really knows what he's talking about. He's a Dragon Ball historian. He knows the minuscule things about the events of what happened in Dragon Ball Z, whether something is canon, if it's not canon, what does this mean? I love that talk, you know. I do. So I hope he gets this. If he doesn't get it, make sure you spam him with it. Yeah, that's all I got. Thanks everybody for listening, and I hope to see you guys in the next either reaction or unfocused rant.